So, hey guys, I want to have a conversation with you all about Grindr, and specifically your use of Grindr. And when I think about that, I think of the quote from The Wizard of Oz, which is a cultural reference that many of you are probably too young to know. But I think Dorothy says, like, are you a good witch or a bad witch? And that's how I feel about our interactions with Grindr, that it can be used for good or it can be used for evil. Grindr itself is very neutral. And I think if you were to ask me a month ago how I use Grindr and what I use it for, I'd say, well, I use it for sex. Like, I'm a horny guy, which is very true. And Grindr is a very effective way at facilitating casual sex, and I enjoy sex. And that's true, but it's also kind of, like, let's be real, it's a talking point. And if we're gonna get real and vulnerable and authentic with ourselves, like, what is the reason behind the reason? I don't know how many hours, literally hours a day, I would spend with, even if I'm not actively on it, that it would be open while I'm doing emails or working. And like, I'm a horny person, but there's another drive there. Like, what's the reason behind the reason? What's the drive behind the drive? Why am I really investing so much energy and time and effort into Grindr and having these conversations, many of which are very circular and frustrating and never go anywhere? Like, what's really driving me to do this? And the reasons that we use Grindr are gonna be different for every person. For me, the drive behind the drive is loneliness. Like, I use Grindr when I'm feeling lonely, and also recognizing that there's a difference between feeling lonely and being alone. I'm alone a lot, and often really joyfully alone. I love my quiet alone time, but even then, like, there's times where I really crave human interaction. I want to feel like I'm part of a community, and I don't have a partner, and I live in California, which is far from my family. And there are times here where I feel lonely, and that is when I most especially find myself opening Grindr, because I'm craving connection. As hard as that is to admit to you, it's much harder to admit that to myself. It's the same thing as, like, you're the hardest person to come out to yourself. If I think about Grindr as a way to treat loneliness, is it effective? And if I evaluate that, like, if a guy comes over for 45 minutes and we fuck and I have his dick up my butt, like, when he leaves, do I feel any less lonely? Do I feel any more connected? Usually the answer is no, and often I feel even less connected. That it's almost like Grindr is almost like a drug, and you're like chasing these highs, and it's like you want one more hit, or I don't know much about drugs, a puff. I don't know how people, whatever. You're chasing that high, and in fact, like, often can even further disconnect you from what it is that you actually want and crave. So for me, like, that's what it was. And I'm reminded of a quote that a Tantric instructor said to me. He looked at me and he said, no matter how many big dicks you take, it'll never be enough to fill the hole in your heart. And when he said that to me, it was like, you know when someone tells you something that's so fucking true that it knocks the air out of your lungs? You're just like, oh, you see me. Like, it hit me like a fucking wall. It's like, oh. Oh, and by the way, you guys know that we work with a lot of tantric instructors for my erotic website, himrose.tv. What you might not know is it's been 2 years, freaking 2 years since I launched it. And we're having a flash sale in honor of this 2-year anniversary at himrose.tv/special. You need to use that unique URL, and you can get 3 months of Himrose TV membership for $49.95, which is how much it usually costs for a 1-month pass. So fucking 3 months for $49.95 at himrose.tv/special, and you can lock that rate in. If you haven't tried Himrose TV before, you absolutely need to. The concepts are created with sex therapists and tantric instructors, and the fact that you're listening to this YouTube video means that you're probably on the same page and taking some steps into your sexual exploration and journey. And if you have been a member, this is a great time to revisit the site, because the content is longer, it's more explicit, it's more fun, it's better than ever. The production values we continue to raise. So check it out, himrose.tv/special. So anyway, in chatting with the tantric instructor, he was talking about his own use of Grindr, and he's like, look, when I'm craving something, if I'm horny, if that's really what it is, I open Grindr, I find someone, I invite them over, I have sex, I close Grindr. Like, that's it. If it's something else that I want, then I do other things to get that. So for me, if it is, and it's different for everyone, like, maybe it's validation that you're looking for. I don't know. When I'm looking for connection and to not be lonely, there's more effective ways of doing that. FaceTiming with friends, doing something with family, getting involved with a project or volunteering. All of those things do make me feel better and they make me feel more connected. And Grindr doesn't do that, and so I have, at this point, changed the way that I interact with Grindr. Anyway, I'm having this conversation because I thought that it may be of use to you, and it's really important for us to be honest, at least with ourselves, if we're not gonna be honest with each other. Say what you want to other people, but at least be honest with yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, no matter how many big dicks you take, it'll never be enough to fill the hole in your heart. And as always, more to come.